to the meeting. Okay, we will call the meeting to order at 12:04 p.m. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just do a quick land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Nakusp area have a rich Indigenous history and acknowledge the Earl Lakes and Ice people within whose traditional lands we are meeting today. Any late items?
There are no late items.
Okay, agenda approval. Recommendation that the agenda of the February 18th, 2025 special meeting be adopted as presented, amended. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Edwards, seconded. Councillor Kanoizen. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. And there's no presentations, no public hearings. Business arising from the minutes? Unfinished business, F1, AKBLG resolution drafting. And this will be a special council meeting and will be a committee of the whole. Is that correct? I didn't see it on here. To the CAO?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, this is a special committee of the whole.
Okay, didn't see it on here. Okay, so recommendation that staff be directed to draft resolutions for the following topics, which we will discuss, to be brought back at the February 24th, 2025 regular council meeting for endorsement. So we'll pick the topics after. Can I get a motion to begin? Councillor Edwards, seconded Councillor Kanoizen, and we can open the floor to some topics on resolutions. So I'm just going to go back on the main screen here. Just bear with me here so I can see everybody. Okay. All right. So the first one I just got one, and mainly it is the BC Alert program to include health service for notification of emergency room closures. So we did send a letter to the Honorable Josie Osborne, Minister of Health, November 21st, 2024, to say that we did talk about using just our village alert system, but that wouldn't be proper. The proper way would be to use the provincial alert program. And mainly, so as you know, we have in the past, we've been fairly fortunate, our community, not too many closures, ER closures, but when they are, we're not told till we see it on Facebook or some social media, or they actually send an email out. But I've had one where it came in at 11 o'clock at night, and they had closed at I think at 8 o'clock. So those kind of things we need to do a village or a provincial alert. And I do have copies from. And actually, since we sent that letter out, I've got quite a few copies of letters from the City of Campbell River, thanking us for the letter, and also sending the letter on to the Honorable Josie Osborne. Another one from Terrace, the Office of the Mayor, same thing, notification. They use the Northern Health, but they would like to be involved to see this happen. Also, they also sent a letter. I've seen Cornell. I probably had 5 or 6 reach out to the Minister Osborne Provincial Health at that time, asking for an alert system, provincial alert. So, and I don't know if everybody had a chance to read that letter that was sent out. Yeah. Okay, sorry, we just got interrupted there. Did everybody have a chance to read that email letter that was sent to Minister Osborne? Honorable Josie Osborne? Don't recall. So I'll quickly read it so that people online, if there's anybody online. Is anyone online?
There's somebody by the name of Rob, but I'm not sure who that is.
Okay, I'll just read since a lot of us don't remember what we said. Citizens within our small rural community are outraged by the health authorities' lack of communication when the emergency room at our local hospital unexpectedly closes. Rural communities are left in life or death situations when the ER is unexpectedly closed and effective notifications is not issued. If our residents serviced If our residents serviced by the Arrow Lakes Hospital arrive to find the ER closed, the next closest ER is 2.5 hours away. Knowing ahead of time the Arrow Lakes Hospital is closed allows people to respond appropriately in a time of crisis. Knowing they must travel to another hospital will save valuable time when it matters most. We know we are not the only community in BC affected by sudden ER closures that occur within adequate public notice. However, we acknowledge that the province already has a tool to provide the public with the necessary notifications. The province Alert Ready system can notify citizens and other emergency service providers about ER closures. This will save lives and ensure people are not wasting valuable time by traveling to an ER that is temporarily closed. The province's alert program states that the alert must meet the following criteria before proceeding. There is a threat to human life. The threat is immediate. There are recommendations, actions that may save lives. An emergency room closure, whether planned or unplanned, threatens human life. The threat is immediate, and there is a recommendation action that can save lives. On October 16, 2024, Council of the Village of Nakusp resolved the following: that staff be directed to write a letter to the provincial government requesting they include the Provincial Health Service in their Alert Ready program to communicate with the public and advise of emergency room closures. That's the guidance, the mayor. And it's not New Denver. Like I said, we've been very fortunate, but our closest community, New Denver, has been hit hard. And I know other communities. Another one, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Lillooet. It's just, I forget which one it was, but it's almost every couple of weeks, there's a notification that comes out, media alert that they're closing. So, but it's the provincial media, it's a public service announcement that comes out, and I get them, and I'm not sure if anybody else gets them. I believe the CEO may get them, but they're too late. So we do need something quicker, and I think this would be the best alert system, and I think this is something that I would like to see as an AKBLG resolution that would help all rural communities. Any questions on that?
No, I support that fully. Oh,
Sorry, I'll mute. Anyone else?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, we couldn't hear Councillor Edwards.
Okay, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I support Mayor Tom's resolution.
Shut this off. Oh, there she is. Are you
I
back?
also support Mayor Tom's resolution.
I don't know if you guys are talking, but we can't hear anything.
Okay, so I'm hoping, to the CEO and staff, you will be able to help us write these up as a resolution.
Yes, we'll be able to write this resolution.
And I do know they ask for, almost maximum 3-page to speak on this resolution when it's brought forward by the Village of Nakusp. So we do have probably this 1-pager would probably do it.
Yes, we're all set.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm opening the floor. I'll mute. Anyone else? Councillor Canoisan, I'll just mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, Mayor Tom, you have to also push your.
I did mute.
Yeah, you're muting, but your sound is on. Just on your keyboard.
How's that?
Can you hear me now? That's better. Thank you. I was just wondering if we could consider looking into uncivil, unruly behavior again, this time dividing it between what happens within council and what happens with private citizens, because last time the resolution was a joint resolution between those two ideas. And so I was wondering if it would be, and I think if I recall correctly, at the UBCM or AKBLG, I'm not sure which one, UBCM, there was lots of people in support of having a resolution about uncivil and unruly behavior, but they didn't like the fact that the two were blended together, as in behavior within council and behavior of private citizens. So I'm wondering if we could divide that and resubmit.
Oh, yeah, I need it. Just a minute. I'm just going to turn this on. Sorry, this is just. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear Councillor Edwards?
No, yeah,
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. I just was going to ask Councillor Knoyson, we were going to focus on the civil employees or the civil, like the councils and everything, not the private citizens. That was my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor McLaren-Cole, do you have anything on that?
On that one in particular, or others?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
No, I think it's. I'm happy to support both. And I don't know if you guys can see me, but I was giving you the thumbs up on the last one, and thumbs up on this one. I have a few other thoughts, but I'll just note on this one that I'll be hosting a panel for responsible conduct at the convention, so it's definitely something that's top of mind, and I'm glad to see it keep coming back. So yeah, I support it.
Okay. Anyone else have any that they wish to bring forward? Resolutions they'd like to see? Councillor McLaren-Cole?
Yeah, if nobody else has, so responsible conduct we talked about. There, I don't know how much traction this would get, but I'd like to propose that we ask that the provincial government allocate 1% of PST that's spent in municipalities to their local infrastructure. And I don't mean 1% of the PST, I mean like one of the 7%, like whatever that is, 14%.
Yeah, I have no problem. Doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a couple more ideas if you guys will listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
One I know that's coming up with regional district is protection for inland ferries and designating them on some level an essential service, because there's been disruptions obviously at our ferries on Arrow Lakes, and then there's ongoing labor disruptions at Glade and Proctor and Kootenay Bay. So they're not governed by the same act as the coastal ferries.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I was talking to a resident that lived in Arrow Park. So I did say, how did it on the other side, on the west side? I said, how did that affect you? And they said, believe it or not, didn't affect us at all, because they did look, because we're, local people, they did look after us on the other side. Even if we had to get across, they would come down. And so that was the only good thing that came out of that one. The rest, when with Needles, Arrow Park, and Shelter Bay, the disruption, there was some major disruption there, especially for workers and things. But it was interesting to hear that they did help the people in Arrow Park. And so I just want to say that, but I do understand what's happening over in Balfour. Is it Balfour and Harrop? They're really struggling there. Yeah, they're really having troubles there, and they're still ongoing. So, yeah, essential service. So, essential service, what would that mean? Workers, business, I guess we have to define what is an essential worker. Hospital staff, things like this, correct?
I can send our staff, the resolution that was drafted by the regional district, because that might give some context for it. But I think I don't have it in front of me, but it's basically setting minimum service levels. So if there's going to be labor action, because you also don't want to take away the ability for people to have labor action for collective bargaining. But if you say, this is the minimum expectation of particularly communities like, I think, Glade and Hara Proctor, that are only served by ferry. Like, there is no other way out.
Yeah. And the same with Arrow Park is the same way. So it was interesting to hear that story, because I thought they would have had to move, but they were interesting. But I do know, just for myself, the forest industry was really impacted. I literally had to fill in a lot of times for people that lived in Edgewood, working on in Octopus. I would have to go down and fill in for them because of the ferry disruption. You just never knew when they would be able to work. So it hampered a lot of people. So I guess the other one it would be is fuel, food, things like that would be kind of essential too, I think. Yeah. Councillor Kanoisen? Let me mute here.
We have to push here. I'm wondering, I'm not entirely sure. A lot of people during the ferry strike were suggesting that the ferry should be considered a highway, and I don't believe strikes can shut down highways. I'm wondering, I understand that Councillor McLaren-Co suggested that we shouldn't be able to hinder a strike, but when it's virtually a highway, I'm wondering if we can say or request that it be considered the same as a highway.
May I?
Go ahead, Councillor Kanoisen.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's. I think that's wordsmithing in between.
Oh,
because
sorry. It's hard to keep muting, then turn the volume back up. So go ahead, Councillor. Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Probably
Can you hear
can't hear me now.
Yes, no.
You hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I did blabber a bit there, but my mute button was off.
Okay. I would just say the specifics of calling it a highway or not, I think are immaterial. I think that even during the current labor disruptions, they still run some ferries. Like, it's not like they're shut off completely. It's just setting what the minimum standards are, so that they're smarter people than I can figure out what's a necessary amount, while still also allowing people the ability for collective action, like labor strikes.
Any other comments? Councillor Edwards?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just had one quick comment there, because I know, like from Edgewood or whatever, the kids were coming to school because they were essential, but the teachers couldn't go. So that didn't make a lot of sense. Teachers need to be essential as well if the kids are going to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
If I may.
Yes.
I think we're confusing two things here. We're not designating who are essential workers. We're asking that the province designate a ferry service as essential.
Okay.
And not saying who can get across, but rather that they need to set up, even though they still have the ability to have strikes, labor action, that they need to provide X amount of service a day. So people of any kind can get to and from.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Understand. Any other?
I got one more. I've got a bunch more, but I'll just say one more.
Okay.
I was expecting this to come through regional district, but it never did. Given the power demands that we have, and the fact that they keep going up, and the fact that BC Hydro keeps coming out with calls for power, and we look to be facing an electricity generation deficit, I would like to see the provincial government further incentivize solar panels on residential or commercial buildings, so that generation can be handled on an individual basis, as opposed to trying to spend tens of millions of dollars on major energy generation projects.
So, Councillor Kanoisen, or Councillor McLaren-Co, did you say? Can you repeat that again?
Sure. Sorry, that was a weird preamble. We're facing an energy deficit, and I think one of the ways, a better way to address that, other than these major power projects or going to municipalities to build generation projects, is to get the province to incentivize or even pay for individual homeowners and businesses to put solar panels onto existing buildings.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. I know a lot of, well, probably I think Valemont and from Folkier all the way to New Denver, Silverton, we've only got one line, and we depend on that for. And the rest of the, I think the rest of the province has two lines, but we just this last outage when it was really, really cold, we had no alternative other than a generator. And a lot of people don't have a generator or any backups, and they depend on electricity or wood stoves. But even the wood stoves, you need power. So definitely, there's something there. It was interesting. There's also another item. Maybe we got to need help for. Back in the days, I forget what they call it, run of the rivers. There's great opportunity for the village of Nakusp. I just looked at Zinkton. If that goes through, they're going to be using the power plant at Sandon, which was built in the 1980s, late or 1800s, 1890s, and which powered 5,000 people in the village of the community of Sandon at the time when it was booming. And they're going to be using, if that goes through, they're going to be using green energy to light up Zinkton with their power plant. So I think there's an opportunity even for our community. Like we've got a great opportunity for Hot Springs. The Kooskanak River goes right through there. I think there's an opportunity to bring this back again, especially at UBCM, I believe. Anyway, I'm preambling myself here now. Hope I wasn't on mute. No, okay. So, no, all good, thanks. Any other questions on it? Oh, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It may not be appropriate for this specific meeting, but Sandon was my question. They have enough electricity and they're not being allowed to use it. So I don't understand why, actually, but Sandon was my question. Because especially if we're running out of electricity or if there's a call for power, why can't we use Sandon? That was it.
Thanks, Councillor Edward. That is a very good question. I know before BC Hydro wouldn't allow them to use their power lines. I know Box Lake Lumber made a contract deal with Sandon. I forget what they're called. I forget what that's called. The generation plant there. But they had made a deal, but BC Hydro wouldn't allow them to use their poles. So there's got to be more freedom, more opportunities for green energy projects. And that is a good one. Go ahead, Councillor Knoyson.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is an AKBLG thing or not, but I would love to, and I know that when Councillor Edwards and I were having lunch with Brittany Anderson, they said that they were working on this. I'm not sure if it would help to have a resolution go to AKBLG to help move it forward, but it would be nice if doctor qualifications could be cross-country instead of just cross-province, and if there's anything we can do about that. We have a real shortage of doctors. I've been here 3 years and I have yet to have a doctor.
Go ahead.
I just had one thing to add in regards to that. And it wasn't just doctors. It was like healthcare professionals, so like RMTs and nurses, et cetera, et cetera. So I totally support Councillor Knoyson in that.
And lab techs, actually, a fellow just came in from, well, he came from Nigeria and is living in Nakusp here, and he's got a 2-year contract. And they were very, very happy to get him because they were in desperate need of even lab techs. So it's just an ongoing issue here. And not just here, it's New Denver, it's all the rural communities are really suffering. Like, it's just, everybody wants to move to the city. So we've got to find incentives to come to our communities. An idea, so now it's a great idea to open up the borders. Anybody else want to speak?
Right, Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask, could I just get a little bit of clarity? What exactly is it you wanting the resolution to state?
I'll let Councillor Kanoizen speak on that one.
That the qualifications for medical practitioners or healthcare providers, including EMTs or massage therapists, would be that we would open the borders and allow, and I don't know how to properly write this, but allow qualifications to go across province instead of just, across Canada instead of just across provinces. So somebody who's qualified in Alberta cannot practice in British Columbia, and so on and so forth. And Brittany Anderson mentioned that they were working on trying to open that up so that we could open up healthcare through Canada, but maybe it would help if they had support from AKBLG and whatnot.
Thank you.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, I thought you meant actually across the globe. So yeah, thank you very much.
Mayor, I've got a couple more if you guys will entertain it, because we're whipping through these pretty fast.
Go ahead.
So they're kind of there's two, but they're kind of the same thing. We received the Building Communities Fund, I think like 2 years ago, and it was like a one-time payment of about 1.16 million. And there is also the REDIP program, the Rural Economic Development and Infrastructure Program. And I don't know that it's going to carry on past the current intake. So, and the reason I lumped them together, it's kind of the same ask for both. And that is that the province have consistent and regular funding for both housing and infrastructure and rural economic development in a predictable way. Because this one-off grant funding model for one or both of them is really, we can't plan for it. We can't have consistent long-term projects for it, for any of those things, housing, infrastructure, or economic development. So if we can advocate to the province to enshrine that in some kind of legislation or like something like the gas tax, where it's consistent funding that we know that it's coming every year and can make plans around that. Then anyway, that's my long way of saying there's two in there. But I also know that staff doesn't want to be researching a million things in the next week. Yeah. So
how many do you have to pick?
Anyone else?
Through the mayor to CAO. How many can we pick?
You're on mute.
Through the mayor to the CAO. How many can we pick?
Well, that's entirely up to you on how many you pick, to be honest. Realistically, are we going to have a lot of time to research this? No. We have less than a week. And as a matter of fact, we actually have to have our report done by Wednesday, tomorrow, to be ready for the next council meeting. So no, we don't have a lot of time.
Nobody heard that. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to the CEO. I muted and I turned the sound on. Can you repeat that?
Sorry. Okay. We have 2 days to get everything ready for the next council meeting.
may I suggest something?
Yes.
If I may, we could short list, we could pick a number and then top 3 or 5 or whatever it is. And as long as we can get the wording okay, then we just need to get the resolution in. We don't have to provide them with all kinds of background research. They just need one whereas statement. I'm the resolutions chair, by the way, for AKBLG. So we need one resolution statement and one therefore enactment clause, so that we don't need a ton of background. Like by tomorrow is my point.
So if we don't need any background, then, the number that we have here, we could definitely get this done if these are what you want to bring forward.
How many were there? I wasn't paying attention.
You have 7.
Hmm.
Yeah, 7.
Usually 1 or 2 fall off once you've had a conflict.
We should all just set it mayor's computer.
Did you try that?
Usually 1 or 2 falls off the list once we've had conversations with ministers or put letters forward. So would it be inappropriate to go ahead with 7 and then expect to have 5 approved?
So with these resolutions, we have to prepare them for the AKBLG. So yeah. Sorry if I may, Mr. Mayor. This is doable. We have the information here. We just have to come up with the whereas statements. And unless you want to trim it down, did you want me to repeat what we have so far?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have a request for a resolution on the BC Alert Ready initiative. So that's dealing with the closures at the hospitals. There's one for responsible conduct, unruly behavior. And one thing I wasn't sure of, though, was were you wanting it just for council or for the public, or are you wanting both?
Council.
For council, okay. And then asking the provincial government for, 1 of the 7% for municipal infrastructure generated in each municipality. BC Inland Ferries to be declared an essential service. BC calls for power, asking the province to incentivize solar panel installation on private property of existing buildings. That the province provide regular and consistent funding for housing, infrastructure, and economic development for local governments. And I just put in brackets in the vein of the gas tax. And that qualifications for healthcare practitioners be allowed across the provincial borders.
Yeah.
Consistent. Of course, we'll wordsmith this.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. Thanks to the CEO. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure which button to press here. Okay. No. Well, thank you for taking that on. And I guess when it comes back onto the February 24th. We'll have them there and we can actually vote on them then, correct?
Yeah, you'll vote on whether or not you want them to be forwarded to AKBLG. But I'll just state at that point, we've done all the work. So, I'd ask now for you to figure out whether there's any of those there that you don't want.
Right. And to Councilor McLaren-Coe, as you sit on the resolution board, when a village sends this many in, what happens?
We just have more work to do.
Okay.
Because like Nelson, the city of Nelson always sends in a bunch.
Yep. So
we're right up there with Nelson.
And when do they get selected to say yes or no to bring them forward?
What we'll do, the process is the committee and I will review them, and then if we have feedback, we'll send it back to the municipalities. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure no matter what happens, as long as there's a council resolution supporting it or a board resolution supporting it, it'll still go to the convention. That doesn't mean, we choose, just like at UBCM, we choose whether or not to say
endorse?
It's valid or not.
Right.
Yeah, but endorse is a weird word because endorse makes it sound like we're saying it's a good one. But what we're just saying is that it's valid. But that doesn't mean that it'll be supported by the membership at the convention.
Yep. Okay, well, thank you very much. Anyone else? We're all good. I'm just going to get back into, just bear with me here. Back here. Open to the meeting. We sure miss you all. So, anyway, so can everyone still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will leave the we will close out, or we won't close out, but we will finish. That was the recommendations that will be brought forward to on the February 24th, and we'll go to G1, monthly reports, motions arising from the reports. We've got those bylaws, new business, information items, action items, which we are doing, notice of motion. Okay, so questions from the press or public. I did see the Valley Voice and believe I saw someone else online. Is there any questions from the public?
I'm not seeing any at this moment.
Okay. So if I don't, I can wait a bit here. Hearing none, we will close this meeting at 12:40 p.m. Oh, can I get a motion to close at 12:41 p.m.? Councillor Edwards. And we'll close this meeting. And if I could just get the CEO and Cody and Aiden to stay on just for a minute, just got a few little information items wish to share.